I am 74 years old, and I have learned that a man can survive a bad heart, a broken hip, and 20 winters alone in Cleveland, Ohio. But the sound of his own child shutting him out can still cut clean through him. My daughter's name is Melissa. She was my only girl, my late wife's pride. The kind of child who used to fall asleep on my chest while football played low on the television. After her mother died, I held on to Melissa like she was the last warm thing left in the world. Maybe that was my first mistake. I helped her through college. I paid for her wedding when her husband, Brent, said his family was between situations. I watched her 2 boys every summer, fixed their bikes, bought their school shoes, and quietly covered the taxes on the house she lived in. That house had been mine first. It sat on a quiet street in Parma, just outside Cleveland, with a maple tree in the front yard, and a kitchen my wife painted yellow back in 1989. When Melissa married, she begged me not to sell it. "Daddy, this house should stay in the family," she said, so I put her name on the deed. Not because she earned it, because I trusted her. The week before Thanksgiving, I called to ask what time I should come over. I had already bought the pecans for my pie and a little train set for my youngest grandson. Melissa went quiet on the phone. Then she said, "Dad, Thanksgiving is just for my family this year." I sat at my kitchen table and looked at the empty chair across from me. "Your family?" I asked. She sighed like I was making it difficult. "You know what I mean. Brent's parents are coming, his sister too. We just don't have room for extra tension." Extra tension. That was what I had become. I asked if the boys knew I wasn't invited. She said they would understand. Then Brent got on the line and told me it was time I stopped making every holiday about myself. I did not yell. I did not beg. I just said, "All right, Melissa." After I hung up, I sat there for a long while with the pecans still in their grocery bag. Then I opened the drawer where I kept my wife's old papers, my property records, and the business card of a lawyer I had not called in years. Because Melissa had forgotten one thing. Her name was on the deed, but it was not the only name. The next morning I woke up before sunrise, the way old men do when sleep no longer trusts them to stay. The house was quiet, too quiet. No footsteps overhead, no television murmuring in another room, no smell of coffee someone else had already made. Just me. I sat at the edge of the bed and thought about that word she used. Tension. I turned it over in my mind like a coin I didn't recognize. I had spent years making things easier for her, softer, smoother. If anything, I had been the absence of tension. But absence has a way of turning invisible. By 8 o'clock, I was dressed. Not in anything special, just clean slacks and a button-down shirt. The same kind of clothes I used to wear when I showed up to fix her leaky sink or patch a hole in the drywall after one of the boys got carried away. Only this time, I wasn't bringing tools. I drove downtown to a small law office on Superior Avenue, the same one I had used after my wife passed. The receptionist didn't recognize me, but the lawyer did. Mr. Harlan. Older now, thinner, but still sharp behind the eyes. "Didn't expect to see you again," he said, shaking my hand. "Neither did I told him. We sat down, and I laid the deed on his desk. He read it carefully, nodding once or twice, then leaned back in his chair. "You gave her joint ownership," he said, "but you retained primary control. That was smart." I let out a slow breath. I didn't do it to be smart. I did it to be a father. He gave a small, understanding look. He'd probably seen this before. "I want her name removed," I said. He didn't react right away, just folded his hands together and studied me. "Something happened?" I thought about telling him everything. The phone call, Brent's voice, the way my own daughter made me sound like a problem to be managed. But in the end, I just said, "She doesn't need to carry something she doesn't value." That was enough. He nodded once. "We can do it. It won't be complicated given how it's structured, but once it's done, it's done." I understand. The paperwork took less than an hour. Signatures, initials, a few quiet explanations. Nothing dramatic. No raised voices. Just ink on paper. The kind of quiet decision that changes everything without making a sound. When I stood up to leave, Mr. Harlan said, "You sure about this?" I paused with my hand on the chair. "I spent years thinking if I gave enough, I'd stay close to her," I said. "Turns out, I just made it easier for her to walk away." He didn't argue. Outside, the air was cold enough to bite. I stood on the sidewalk for a moment, letting it hit my face, letting it settle into my chest. Then I got in my car and drove home. That afternoon, my phone rang. Melissa. I let it ring twice before answering. "Dad, did you do something with the house?" "No, hello." No hesitation. I leaned back in my chair, looking out at that old maple tree. "Yes," I said. There was a pause. Then her voice sharpened. "What does that mean?" "It means your name isn't on it anymore." Silence. Then Brent's voice in the background, low and urgent. She must have put him on speaker. "Are you serious right now?" he snapped. "After everything we've built there?" I felt something in me settle. Not anger, not satisfaction, just a kind of stillness. "I built it," I said quietly. Melissa came back on, her voice rising now. "Dad, you can't just do that. That's my home." I closed my eyes for a moment. "No," I said. "It was your home." And that's when she said something that made my hands go cold. She said, "Then maybe you shouldn't expect to be invited anywhere anymore." For a second, I thought I had misheard her. Not because the words were unclear, but because of how easily they came out of her mouth. Like she'd already said them in her head a dozen times before saying them to me. I didn't answer right away. I just sat there, holding the phone, listening to my own daughter breathe on the other end like I was the one who had crossed a line. Brent didn't stay quiet this time. "Honestly, this is exactly why we needed space," he said. "You make everything about control. First the money, now the house. What's next?" Control. That word again. Funny how people use it when they lose something they never earned. Melissa came back in, sharper now, louder. "Do you even realize what you've done? The boys live here. We've built our life here." I looked around my living room. The worn armchair, the old clock on the wall, the photograph of my wife smiling like she still believed everything would hold together. "I realize exactly what I've done," I said. "You're punishing us," she snapped. "No," I answered. "I'm correcting something I should have never done in the first place." That didn't calm her. It made it worse. Her voice broke then, but not in the way I remembered from when she was little. Not soft, not scared, just angry. "So that's it?" she said. "You're just going to take everything back because we didn't host you for one holiday?" It wasn't about Thanksgiving, but I could hear it in her voice. She needed it to be that simple. Needed me to look unreasonable so she didn't have to look at anything else. "You didn't forget to invite me," I said slowly. "You decided I didn't belong." Silence. For a moment. Just a moment. I thought she might understand. Then Brent cut in again. "You're twisting this," he said. "We have boundaries. You don't get to just show up and expect—" "I never showed up uninvited," I said, my voice steady. "Not once." That stopped him. Melissa exhaled hard, like she was done pretending now. "Fine," she said. "You want honesty? Brent feels uncomfortable around you. He says you act like the house is still yours." I let that settle. Because it was. But that wasn't the point. "And you?" I asked quietly. There was a long pause. Long enough for the truth to show itself without saying a word. Then she said it. "I just want peace, Dad." Peace. That word landed heavier than anything else. Because what she really meant was a life where I existed quietly in the background, useful when needed, invisible when not. I nodded to myself, even though she couldn't see it. "You have it now," I said. She didn't thank me. Instead, her voice turned cold. Colder than I had ever heard it in all her years. "You're going to regret this," she said. You don't have anyone else? That one reached somewhere deep. Not because it was true, but because she believed it was. I looked at the phone in my hand, then back at my wife's picture. No, I said softly. I just stopped pretending I had you. And I hung up. The house went quiet again, but it felt different this time. Not empty, clear. About an hour later, there was a knock on my door. Hard, sharp, not the kind you ignore. I already knew who it was before I stood up. And when I opened the door, Melissa didn't look like my daughter anymore. She stood there on my porch with her arms crossed tight across her chest, like she was holding herself together out of sheer force. Melissa had always been put together. Hair done, clothes pressed, the kind of woman people described as capable. But that morning, there was something strained about her, something brittle. Brent stood a few steps behind her, jaw set, already looking past me like he didn't intend to stay long. You actually did it, Melissa said, not even a greeting. You went through with it. I told you I would, I said. She let out a sharp laugh, but there wasn't anything amused in it. I thought you were bluffing. I don't bluff. That irritated her. I could see it in the way her shoulders tightened. Well, congratulations, she snapped. You've made your point. Now fix it. I didn't move. I didn't invite them in. No, I said. That word seemed to hit her harder than anything else so far. Her eyes widened just a little. Not from sadness, but disbelief. No, she repeated. That's your answer? That's my answer. Brent stepped forward then, finally inserting himself fully into the doorway like he belonged there. You're being unreasonable, he said. This affects our kids. You're going to put your own grandsons at risk over some hurt feelings? I looked at him carefully. I took care of those boys long before you ever thought about risk, I said. Don't use them as leverage with me. His face flushed. This isn't leverage, it's reality. No, I said quietly. It's convenience. Melissa cut in before he could respond, her voice rising again. Dad, we have bills tied to that house. The mortgage, the insurance. I've been paying half of it for years, I said. That stopped her. She blinked. What? You heard me. She looked at Brent, confused now, like something didn't line up. And that's when I realized she didn't know. Of course she didn't. I had never told her. Every month for nearly 5 years, I had been quietly covering the shortfalls. When Brent's business dipped, when unexpected expenses came up, when things got tight, I never made a show of it, never asked for thanks. I just handled it. Melissa's voice dropped, uncertain now. What are you talking about? Brent didn't say anything. That told me everything I needed to know. I looked straight at him. You didn't tell her. His jaw tightened. It wasn't relevant. It was her house, I said. Melissa turned to him fully now. Brent, what is he talking about? He exhaled sharply, like he was annoyed the conversation had shifted. Your dad helped out a few times, he said. It's not a big deal. A few times? I repeated. I walked back inside for a moment and came back with a folder. Not thick, just enough. Statements, transfers, records. I held it out, but didn't step closer. Take a look, I said. Melissa hesitated, then took it. She flipped through the pages slowly, and I watched her face change. Confusion first, then realization, then something else, something closer to shame, though she tried to hide it. This is every month, she said quietly. Yes. She looked up at Brent. You said we had it handled. We did, he snapped. He just filled in gaps. Gaps, she said, her voice tightening. This is thousands of dollars. The air shifted right there on my front porch. For the first time since she arrived, Melissa wasn't looking at me like the problem. She was looking at him. Brent straightened, defensive now. Don't do this here. Then where? She shot back. Because apparently I've been the only one who didn't know what's really going on. I stepped back, giving them space, but not leaving. This wasn't about me anymore. Melissa turned back to me slowly, her voice quieter now, but heavier. "You've been paying for our house. And you still did this?" I met her eyes. "Yes." Her lips parted slightly. "Why?" And that question, that simple, honest question, hung between us. I could have said a lot of things, but I told her the truth. Because helping you live there is not the same as being welcome in it. That landed hard. She swallowed, her grip tightening on the papers. Brent muttered something under his breath, but she ignored him this time. Instead, she stepped closer to me. Just one step, and for a second, I saw the little girl she used to be. Then it disappeared. "Do you know what happens now?" she asked. "I imagine you'll figure it out," I said. Her eyes hardened again, but there was something else underneath now. Fear. "Figure it out?" she repeated. "Dad, we could lose the house." I nodded once. "Yes," I said. And that's when Brent lost his temper completely. Brent stepped forward so fast I thought for a second he might actually put his hands on me. "This is insane," he snapped. "You're trying to ruin us. Over what? A dinner? A stupid misunderstanding?" "It wasn't a misunderstanding," I said calmly. Melissa didn't move. She was still holding those papers like they might rearrange themselves into something easier to accept. Brent kept going, louder now, pacing across my porch like he owned it. "You've been controlling everything from the start. The money, the house. You never actually let us stand on our own." That almost made me smile. "I gave you more room than you ever earned," I said. He turned sharply. "You think you're some kind of victim here?" "No," I said. "I think I finally stopped being one." That hit him. I saw it in the way his face tightened, like he didn't expect me to speak that plainly. Melissa finally looked up again, her voice quieter but strained. "Dad, if we lose the house, the boys lose their home." "They lose a house," I said, "not a home." Her eyes filled for just a second, but she pushed it down. "You don't understand," she said. "No," I answered. "You don't understand." I stepped off the porch then, slowly. So I was standing at the edge of the walkway. I didn't want to tower over them. I didn't want this to feel like a fight. "I was never supposed to carry your life," I said. "I chose to. That was my mistake." Brent scoffed. "So now we pay for it?" "No," I said. "Now you live in what you built." Silence settled for a moment. Heavy, uncomfortable. Then Melissa said something that shifted everything. "Brent didn't want your name on the house from the beginning." I looked at her. She hadn't meant to say it out loud. I could see that immediately. Her eyes flicked toward him, then back to me. But it was too late. "What?" I asked. Brent stepped in quickly. "That's not what she meant." "Yes, it is," I said, my voice steady. Melissa swallowed hard. "He said it would complicate things, legally, that it made it feel like we didn't fully own it." I nodded slowly. "Of course." Brent ran a hand through his hair, irritated now. "This is being twisted." "How long?" I asked him. He didn't answer. "How long did you plan to push me out?" I said. Melissa looked between us, her breathing uneven. "That's not what this is." But I wasn't looking at her anymore. I was looking at him, because suddenly, everything lined up. The distance, the short calls, the way visits became inconvenient. The way I was slowly moved from the center of her life to the edges, then off the page entirely. It hadn't happened all at once. It had been managed, carefully, quietly. And Melissa, she had gone along with it. Not because she hated me, but because it was easier. Brent finally spoke, lower now, more controlled. "We wanted our own space," he said. "Our own life. That's normal." "It is," I said. "What's not normal is expecting me to pay for it while pretending I don't exist." Melissa closed her eyes for a second. "I didn't know," she said softly. I believed her. That was the worst part. "You didn't ask," I said. She flinched. Brent stepped forward again, but this time his voice dropped into something colder, sharper. "Fine," he said. "You want honesty? Without you, we wouldn't have gotten that house in the first place. So yeah, we made adjustments. That's what people do. Adjustments. I let that word sit there. You adjusted me out of my own family, I said. Melissa shook her head quickly. No, that's not. But she didn't finish. Because she knew. The wind picked up a little then, rustling the old maple tree behind me. Leaves scraped across the driveway, dry and restless. I looked at my daughter. Really looked at her. Not the little girl I raised, not the woman I helped build. Just the person standing in front of me. You said Thanksgiving was for your family, I said quietly. She didn't answer. I nodded once. Now you have it. Her face broke then. Not loud, not dramatic. Just a quiet crack in something she'd been holding together too tightly. Dad, she started, but Brent grabbed her arm lightly. Let's go, he said. She hesitated, and in that hesitation, I saw it, the choice. Not between me and him, between comfort and truth. She looked at me one last time. Then she turned and walked away with her husband. I stood there until their car pulled out of the street. And just when I thought it was over, my phone buzzed in my pocket. A message from Melissa. Just one line, and it changed everything. The message read, "If you do this, don't ever expect to see the boys again." I stood there in my driveway, phone in my hand, reading it twice. Not because I didn't understand it, but because I wanted to be sure there was no softness hiding in it. There wasn't. Just a clean, deliberate line, drawn by my own daughter. I didn't reply. Instead, I went back inside, closed the door, and locked it the way I always did out of habit. Only this time, the sound of that lock settling into place felt different. Heavier somehow. I walked into the kitchen and set the phone down next to the bag of pecans I still hadn't touched. Thanksgiving was 2 days away. For the first time in over 40 years, I had nowhere to be. I made myself a cup of coffee, sat at the table, and stared at the empty chair across from me. I thought about those boys. How the youngest used to run straight into my arms without asking. How the older one had started calling less, distracted, growing up the way kids do when the world gets bigger than family. I wondered what they'd been told about me, or what they would be. My phone stayed quiet for a while. Then it buzzed again. Another message. Not from Melissa. From a number I didn't recognize. I let it sit there longer than I should have before picking it up. It was my older grandson. "Grandpa, Mom says we're not supposed to talk to you right now, but I wanted to say, I don't understand what's going on." I read it slowly, then again. My fingers hovered over the screen, but I didn't type. Another message came right after. "Are you really not coming for Thanksgiving?" I looked up at the window. The maple tree outside was almost bare now. Just a few leaves clinging on like they hadn't accepted the season had changed. I set the phone down, didn't answer, didn't move. Just sat there, listening to the quiet fill the room, steady and complete. After a while, I stood up, took the bag of pecans, and put it back in the cabinet. Then I walked down the hallway, past the bedroom, into the small office where I kept the last of my important papers. The deed sat on the desk, clean, final, untouched. I placed my hand on it for a moment, not in regret, not in pride, just acknowledgement. Then I turned off the light and walked back into the living room. The phone buzzed again behind me. I didn't turn around, and I didn't go back. If this story meant something to you, subscribe. There's more to come.